All right, let's just jump right in. When I say the name Morgan, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably goddess of war, right? And look, you're not wrong, but that's just scratching the surface. It's like seeing a shadow on the wall and thinking you know everything about the person casting it. The reality is so much deeper and honestly, way more fascinating. So, is that it? Is she just some kind of divine mascot for battle? Absolutely not. Not even close. If we really want to understand her, we've got to be ready to untangle this incredible knot of psychology, ancient politics, and some seriously deep mythology. And here it is. This is the absolute heart of the matter. The Morgan, well, it's not really a who, it's more of a what. Think of it like a title, a collective. Picture this. One single imposing shadow, but it's being cast by three separate powerful sisters. These are the daughters of Ernmis, the mother goddess. And that idea, that three-in-one concept, is the key that unlocks everything. So where do we start digging? Well, the first clue is hiding right in front of us, in her name. You see, the way the name Morgan changed over time, it tells a story all on its own. It's a story about two very, very different types of power. Okay, check this out. It all comes down to a linguistic shift. In Old Irish, you have the root word mor, which means terror or even monster. That gives us the title, the Phantom Queen. Scary, right? But then, fast forward to Middle Irish, and there's a tiny change. The word becomes mor, which means great or large. And suddenly, she's the Great Queen. It's amazing. One little change in a word, and you get two totally different identities, both wrapped up in the same figure. So what's the big deal? Well, let's break it down. The Phantom Queen, that's the internal stuff. That's the psychological terror. It's connected to that ancient idea of the mare, the nightmare spirit that sits on your chest in the middle of the night. It's the thing that turns a brave warrior's heart to milk, as the stories say. Then you have the Great Queen. This is external. This is raw physical power. She's the one who decides who gets to be king, who controls the land. So you see, she's both the nightmare in your head and the crown on it, a psychological ghost and a political powerhouse all in one. Okay, so we have these two sides, the Phantom and the Great Queen. Now, let's meet the faces behind the shadow. Let's talk about the three sisters, because each one embodies one of these aspects of power. They're the ones who come together to form the whole shebang, the Morrígan. First, we have Bad Bee. And if you need one word to understand her, it's frenzy. Pure, unadulterated, chaotic battlefield energy. That's her. You'll often see her as a hooded crow, flying over the battlefield, screaming. And those screams, they're not just noise. They whip up the chaos. They predict who's about to die. So she isn't just watching the war unfold. She's actively stoking the fire. She is the frenzy, the force that drives soldiers into that state of pure, brutal carnage. All right, next up, Matcha. Now, if Bob is the chaos of the fight, Matcha is the brutal reason for it. She's all about the prize, the land. She is the physical embodiment of sovereignty. Matcha is pure physical dominance. She is the land demanding its due, and her primary symbol, the severed head. Yeah, it's terrifying, but it's also brutally honest. It represents the price of the land. She is the constant, stark reminder to every would-be king that power isn't given. It's bought with blood, and it's held with blood. And that brings us to our third and final sister, Nemain. Her battlefield is the mind, and her weapon of choice is venom. Now, don't think of a snake bite. Her poison is purely mental. Her venom is a sound, a piercing, terrifying shriek that can literally shatter the minds of an entire army. It drives them mad or makes them drop dead from pure fear. She's the ultimate proof that you don't need a sword to win a war. You just need to break your enemy's mind first. So let's recap. We have Badbab, the frenzy of battle, Matcha, the bloody price of sovereignty, and Nemain, the psychological terror. Three very distinct roles. So how in the world do they become one single shifting entity? Well, the answer is one of the coolest concepts in all of mythology. It boils down to this. What you see depends entirely on your own destiny. And there's a story, the one about the Ford of Unshin, that illustrates this perfectly. So the story goes like this. A cocky young warrior comes to this river ford. He sees an old hag, a withered crone, washing bloody armor in the water. For him, she is the Phantom Queen, a nightmare vision that completely drains his courage. But then, a true High King comes to that exact same spot. And what does he see? Not a crone. He sees a majestic, regal woman. He sees the great queen, the very spirit of the land, affirming his right to rule. It's the same being, in the same place, at the same time, but their destinies determine what they see. And that's where this idea of the flicker comes in. It's this moment, usually after a battle as the sun is setting, where the lines just blur. The separate forms of Bab, Matcha, and Nemain, they start to dissolve, to flicker, and then they merge back into that one single unified shadow, the Morrigan. It's incredible. They are three and they are one, distinct but inseparable. Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. If you're going to walk away with anything, let's make it these three essential truths about this amazing, complex being. First, it's a collective identity. Remember, the Morrigan is the title for the group project of Bab, Matcha, and Nemain. Second, she's a bridge between worlds. She operates in the mental world as the Phantom Queen and the physical world as the Great Queen. She connects them. And third, she is the final arbiter. Whether it's through chaos, through power, or through fear, at the end of the day, she's the one who decides who stands and who falls. And that leaves us with one last big idea to chew on. What the Morrigan really shows us is that power, true sovereignty, and the terror required to maintain it, they aren't two different things. They're just two sides of the very same coin. And you have to ask yourself, how much has really changed?